Hi, this is Andre. I want to talk about the loop copy parameter in the Echoplex Digital Pro. Thank you very much to Mark Oswald for commissioning this video. Loop copy is one of several parameters involving using multiple loops on the EDP. And if you've seen any of the previous videos on multiple loops, then you'll know that they're very interactive. In other words, the way you have any one of these set can affect the way that the other parameters are affected. So this video is just focusing on loop copy. That means we're going to keep the other multiple loops parameters the same for the entire video. So auto record is going to be off, and frankly auto record and loop copy are kind of mutually exclusive. You're probably either going to be using one or the other, so we don't need to worry about this for the purposes of the video at all. Switch quantize I'm going to keep set to loop for the entire video, and sampler style I'm going to keep set to start. Loop trigger and velocity are only relevant if you're using MIDI control, and I'm doing everything from the front panel for demonstration purposes. So the three loop copy parameters are off, which is the default setting, time, and sound. This determines if you're copying just the length of the loop into a new loop location, or if you're copying the entire sound content, not just the timing, but the actual music as well. We're not going to worry about the off version of the loop copy parameter, because if it's off, then you're not using loop copy. So loop copy has to do with what happens when you enter a new loop that doesn't have anything recorded in it yet. Right now, the EDP is in what's called global reset, which means that there are no loops active. I'm using next loop to scroll through the different loops I have. I have the memory divided into 4 different loops. That is, I have more loops set to 4. So right now, as I scroll through them, nothing is happening when I enter a new loop. That's because I don't have the Echoplex configured to do anything. So if loop copy is off, that's going to happen. Depending on how you have auto record set, you can potentially have it start doing things when you get into a new loop, but we're not going to worry about auto record for this video. That's coming soon. So with loop copy, you can either have it set to time or to sound. We're going to leave it set to sound. If we start up an initial loop, we build up something. Let's just leave it right there for now. I'm not going to get it particularly busy. So it's a single cycle loop. We haven't multiplied anything, so the loop is 1 cycle long. And if you look down here, this shows you the divisions of the loop. There are 4 of them because 1/8 per cycle is set to 4. And what we're going to look at closely is this top light. That is telling you where the beginning of the entire loop length is. And because we have switch quantize set to loop, that's the point at which the loop copy is going to start happening. So that means that if I press a new loop number, it's going to wait until it gets to that beginning point and then start the loop copy. So if I put next loop into loop number 2, there it goes. And you can see now that we're building up multiple cycles because loop copy basically functions like a multiply when you make the copy of the loop. So this doesn't sound any different from loop 1, but it's actually a completely different loop now. And to demonstrate that, I'm going to build up some material in this. So now, to contrast, I'm going to go back to loop 1. Now, because we have multiple cycles in this loop, the overall loop indicator is now on that 3rd LED. If you have more than 1 cycle in a loop, the middle light becomes a cycle downbeat indicator, and that is the beginning of the entire loop. So now I'm going to go back to loop 1. This is what we started with. That's just the initial loop, single cycle. Then going back to loop 2, that's what we just built up. And then we're back to loop 1. Now, we still have 2 other loops. We have loops 3 and 4 in the memory. So there's a couple of different ways you could fill those loops with various types of loop copies. Let's go back to loop 2. So now this is loop 3. Let's go back to loop 2. Now back to loop 3. And let's jump back to loop 1. And let's fill loop 4 with something based off of just loop 1. Let's reverse that just for interest. So now we've filled up all 4 of our loop locations. So that's what we originally started with. That was the first thing that we built up. This was based on taking 2 of the 4 cycles in loop 2 and then remultiplying that down. And then here's the last thing we just entered. Everything we've been looking at so far has involved having the loop copy parameter set to sound. What we're going to do now is change that setting to time. That means that it's going to copy the length of a loop, but it's not going to copy any of the actual sound in the loop. So let me hold down a longer tone with the guitar, and then I'm going to start a short loop with the front panel. So what I'm going to do now is hold down different sustain tones with my left hand and hit next loop with the right hand so that I can enter each of the different loop locations. When I enter the new loops, I'm going to copy the length of loop 1, but I'm not going to copy the actual sound. I'm going to be recording new sound based on whatever the guitar is playing when we enter that loop. Let's do the same thing for loop 3. Let me hold down a different note. And different note for loop 4. What will I play? I'll play the 4. So now we've got So now all 4 of those loops are the same length, but they all have different notes in them. So this has been a quick look at the loop copy parameter. And again, just to review, because multiple loops involve a lot of different parameters, we've been focusing on loop copy using 2 different parameter values. Time, which is the last thing we looked at, and sound, which is the primary thing we looked at. We didn't look at this setting because if you have that set to off, then you're not copying any loops. There are other ways of creating content in empty loops when you switch to them. We're going to talk about those in subsequent videos. Auto record was off for the entire video. Switch quantize was set to loop for the entire video. Sampler style was set to start for the entire video. So more to come with multiple loops and multiple loop parameters and the different possibilities therein. Thank you again very much to Mark Oswald for commissioning this one, and thank you for tuning in. I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.